Blake Shelton has always kept his personal life pretty steady and low-key, so when talk started spreading that he and Gwen Stefani were living apart, fans were honestly shocked. For years, their relationship looked smooth and effortless, like nothing could shake it, which made the sudden shift feel even more unexpected. So when Blake finally spoke up about the rumors, he didn't come in with drama or straight-up denial. He kept it calm, real, and quietly honest, hinting that something deeper was going on behind the scenes. He admitted there was growing distance in a way that made it clear real-life pressure had been stacking up, demanding careers, totally different routines, and the emotional weight that comes with always being in the spotlight. It wasn't some big confession, but it was enough for fans to realize there was more behind their silence than they thought. And what Blake shared didn't just answer questions, it completely shifted the whole conversation. If you want more real, thoughtful celebrity updates, tap subscribe so you don't miss a thing. The first signs of distance. Long before Blake Shelton ever said anything about the rumors, fans had already started noticing small, subtle changes that didn't match the couple's usual vibe. It began with something simple: fewer public appearances together. For years, Blake and Gwen showed up side by side at events, smiling, laughing, joking around, and giving off that effortless energy people loved. But lately, that pattern started to change. Gwen was spotted at appearances without Blake, while Blake showed up solo at country events, and that alone sparked curiosity among fans, who followed their every move closely. Even online, their presence started fading. The playful posts, the joint interviews, the chill photos from the ranch or studio just weren't showing up as much anymore. Fans didn't jump to conclusions right away. They weren't trying to assume the worst, but the shift was obvious enough to spark quiet conversations across fan pages and social media. People wondered if it was just busy schedules clashing, or something more personal going on behind closed doors. Then there were interviews where both of them seemed more guarded whenever their relationship came up. Nothing dramatic or messy, just less open than before. Some viewers noticed Gwen seemed locked in on her projects, while Blake looked more drawn to his quieter life, spending more time on the ranch and sharing fewer updates. It wasn't loud, but it was noticeable. None of this proved anything, of course, but these early signs started forming a pattern people couldn't ignore. The distance didn't show up overnight, it grew slowly, through separate routines and shifting priorities that felt out of character for a couple that used to seem so united. Fans tried not to overreact, but deep down, these little changes hinted that something was different. And honestly, these early clues were just the beginning of a much bigger story. Blake's off-camera behavior changes. As fans started noticing the distance publicly, people behind the scenes were noticing something else too. Blake himself seemed different. Anyone who's followed his career knows he's usually easygoing, quick with jokes, and naturally warm with everyone around him. But recently, backstage reports suggested he was quieter than usual, keeping more to himself. Crew members and insiders described him as focused, but noticeably more reserved, like something was weighing on his mind beyond the usual stress of performing. This wasn't some overnight switch. It showed up in small ways: shorter interviews, less playful banter, and a tone that felt more serious than fans were used to. He wasn't cold or negative, just deep in thought, like he was carrying something heavy emotionally. People around him couldn't help but wonder if the constant attention on his personal life was starting to get to him. When you mix that with career pressure and public expectations, it makes sense why he'd be feeling that extra emotional weight. Online chatter only made things more intense. Some fans said he looked tired during recent appearances, while others felt his smile didn't hit the same, it didn't reach his eyes like before. Nothing was confirmed, and Blake never said anything was wrong, but the shift was clear enough to make people concerned. Fans who admired his calm, grounded presence started wondering if the rumors about living apart were actually affecting him. It wasn't dramatic, and it definitely wasn't some breakdown, but it was real, and people noticed. And as fans paid closer attention, it became obvious these changes weren't random. They were connected to something deeper happening behind the scenes. But things became even clearer when Gwen's schedule started shifting too. Gwen's increasingly busy career pulls her away. While fans were focused on Blake's quieter energy, Gwen Stefani was going through a totally different storm. Her career was moving fast, and her schedule was packed like crazy. Her calendar filled up with music projects, studio sessions, fashion work, and brand events. Every new update showed just how busy she had become, especially in Los Angeles, where her work and her children's routines kept her based. This wasn't unusual for Gwen. She's always been someone who thrives when she's creating and staying busy. But the difference became more obvious when she started spending longer stretches of time in California, while Blake stayed back at the ranch or focused on country projects that followed a completely different rhythm. Their lives, which once fit together perfectly despite their differences, started pulling in opposite directions simply because of career demands. Fans started connecting the dots. The lack of shared appearances, the different cities, and the quiet social media presence made people wonder if their schedules were becoming harder to balance. Online conversations started describing them as living in different worlds, even though no official statement confirmed that. Still, the contrast between Blake's slower, grounded lifestyle and Gwen's fast-paced, multi-project career created a natural distance fans couldn't ignore. It became one of the biggest topics across entertainment pages: how two people with such massive careers could keep everything together without feeling drained. And through all the excitement around Gwen's work, one thing stood out: she barely addressed the rumors directly, which only made fans more curious. But while everyone kept analyzing their public lives, the real turning point came when people started asking deeper questions about what was really happening at home. The house shift rumors start. As Blake Shelton and Gwen Stefani's separate routines became more obvious, fans started paying closer attention to where each of them was actually spending most of their time. Blake's frequent ranch updates had people wondering if he was staying in Oklahoma way longer than usual, while Gwen seemed firmly locked in Los Angeles with her kids, her studio grind, and her fashion projects. This natural difference in locations quickly kicked off online chatter about whether the couple was starting to live apart more often than before. The conversation got even louder when entertainment outlets jumped in and began covering the story. According to Taste of Country, Blake and Gwen have been spending time apart simply because their careers pull them into totally different routines, Blake toward the peaceful ranch life and Gwen toward her packed, non-stop schedule in Los Angeles. This report lined up exactly with what fans were already seeing online: two separate lifestyles shaped by real-life commitments, not personal distance. Still, the shift felt kinda unusual for a couple that once shared so many public moments together. And even though nothing was confirmed by either of them, the new pattern was enough to make people question what was really going on behind the scenes. But honestly, these rumors were just the surface of a much more grounded reality, one Blake would soon explain himself. Quick pause for more real celebrity insights. Tap subscribe and stay updated. Blake's first public hint. As speculation kept building, Blake Shelton finally dropped the first small clue that he knew exactly what people were saying about him and Gwen. It happened during an interview where the conversation casually shifted toward his day-to-day life and how he balances work with personal time. Blake didn't go deep into details, but he did say something that instantly caught fans' attention. He mentioned needing space to breathe and finding peace in stepping away from the noise whenever life started feeling overwhelming. It wasn't some dramatic confession, and he didn't directly call out the rumors, but the vibe behind his words felt different. Fans who listened carefully noticed the slight pause he took before answering, almost like he was choosing every word on purpose. That alone was enough to spark a whole new wave of discussion across social media. People started breaking down his comment, wondering if it hinted at tension at home, or if he was just being real about the pressure of always being in the spotlight. What made the moment even more interesting was how calm and grounded Blake sounded. There was no frustration, no attempt to shut people down, just quiet honesty, like he was low-key admitting that life had changed and he was still adjusting to it. It wasn't confirmation of anything, but it was the closest he had come to acknowledging the growing rumors. The interview clip spread fast online, fueling fresh conversations about whether the couple was figuring out a new kind of balance in their relationship. Some fans believed Blake was hinting at emotional weight he hadn't shared before, while others felt he was simply being open about the challenges of juggling so much at once. But whatever he meant, that small comment opened the door for a much bigger explanation, and when he finally chose to clear things up, it made way more sense than people expected. Why they actually live apart sometimes. The real clarity came when Blake finally explained why he and Gwen sometimes stay in different places. Instead of feeding into the wild theories floating around online, he gave a simple, real-world explanation. He shared that their separate stays aren't about emotional distance at all, they are just the result of two demanding careers that often keep them in different states. Gwen's world is deeply rooted in Los Angeles, between her kids, her brands, and her music commitments. Blake's life, on the other hand, is more connected to the Oklahoma ranch and the quiet routine that helps him recharge mentally. He talked about how the ranch gives him space to reset, a peaceful environment that keeps him connected to what matters most, especially when work starts getting intense. It wasn't a complaint or a sign that something was wrong, it was simply how he stays grounded. Fans who heard his explanation realized it matched perfectly with the lifestyle he's always loved. He also made it clear that spending time apart doesn't weaken their relationship. If anything, it helps them function better, giving both of them room to grow as individuals without forcing unrealistic expectations on each other. For a lot of viewers, his explanation felt refreshingly honest and free from the dramatic narratives that usually take over celebrity relationships. But even after Blake clarified the truth about their living situation, not everyone was ready to drop the conversation. The internet had already created its own storyline, and the reaction only got louder. Public reaction explodes. Once Blake addressed the situation, even in a calm and casual way, the internet reacted instantly. Some fans felt reassured, believing everything he said about needing space and balancing different schedules. But others weren't fully convinced, pointing to interviews, photos, and timelines to support their own theories. TikTok edits comparing past and recent moments started blowing up with views, while fan pages debated whether the couple's new rhythm meant something deeper was happening. The speculation got even stronger when several outlets picked up the story. A Yahoo Entertainment report highlighted claims that Blake and Gwen were living separate lives, repeating the exact phrase fans had already been pushing online. This coverage didn't confirm anything, but it made the rumor feel bigger, heavier, and way more dramatic than it probably was. As the story spread across social media, the pressure kept growing. People didn't just want answers, they wanted explanations for every small detail, every solo appearance, every subtle change. And with Gwen staying completely silent publicly, attention shifted toward her next move, leaving fans watching her more closely than ever. Gwen responds in her own way. As the discussions kept heating up, Gwen Stefani continued moving through her busy schedule, but fans noticed she was handling things differently, through her actions, not her words. During interviews promoting her latest projects, she spoke warmly about balancing family life, work, and her creative passions. She never directly mentioned the rumors, but her tone made it clear she was focused on keeping stability where it mattered most. Gwen has always been someone who expresses herself through her work, her fashion, and her personality instead of long explanations. So when she shared studio moments or posted glimpses of time with her kids, fans saw these updates as subtle signs that she was simply living her life, not stressing over online talk. Her choice to stay silent about the rumors added a layer of mystery that made people talk even more. Some fans believed her calm energy showed confidence, that she didn't feel the need to defend her relationship because nothing dramatic was actually happening. Others felt her silence might reflect emotional pressure, especially with her schedule getting more intense. Either way, It was obvious Gwen wasn't letting online chatter control her story. Her interviews also low-key hinted at how important it was for her to stay locked into her routine in Los Angeles, surrounded by the people and responsibilities that keep her grounded and steady. That naturally added to the physical distance people were noticing between her and Blake, but it didn't confirm anything negative or messy. It was simply life doing its thing the way it needed to for her. Still, as both of their careers got more intense and demanding, insiders started shedding light on another angle, one connected to the pressure of their growing ambitions. Quick reminder, if you're enjoying this breakdown, hit subscribe to keep following the story. Insiders suggest career pressure. Behind all the online noise and speculation, another angle started coming into focus, one centered on the real demands of their careers. Blake's lifestyle has shifted into a calmer, more peaceful lane, with the ranch becoming his safe place, his zone of stability and peace. Gwen, on the other hand, is deep in one of her busiest creative eras, juggling music, fashion, business, and motherhood all from Los Angeles. The difference in speed and energy between their two worlds naturally created longer stretches where they weren't physically in the same place. Unverified insider reports suggested this shift wasn't about emotional distance or drama at all, but simply about two people following their own career paths. A relationship update from Reality Tea mentioned that Gwen's work keeps her constantly on the move, while Blake has embraced a slower, quieter ranch routine, leading to more physical distance, but not necessarily relationship problems. This matched what longtime fans had already been noticing, two lifestyles evolving in different directions. And while none of these reports were officially confirmed by the couple themselves, the explanation felt way more realistic than the dramatic stories floating around online. It painted the picture of a couple balancing ambition, family, and personal peace, not a couple drifting apart. Blake's emotional explanation. Blake eventually gave the most honest and real perspective yet, and it instantly shifted the whole vibe of the conversation. Without directly calling out every rumor, he explained that he values having a place where he can slow down, breathe, and separate himself from the non-stop chaos of the entertainment world. For him, the ranch wasn't an escape from Gwen, it was an escape from pressure. His words hit fans right in the feels, showing how much he depends on calm spaces to stay grounded and mentally steady. He made it clear that spending time apart wasn't a sign of trouble or emotional disconnect. Instead, it was simply how they make their relationship work while managing careers in different cities. Gwen's life in Los Angeles revolves around her kids and her creative world, and Blake made it crystal clear he fully respects that. His explanation showed a couple finding balance, not distance. Choosing what's practical instead of forcing themselves into unrealistic expectations just to please people. Fans appreciated the realness and vulnerability in his tone. There was no defensiveness, no frustration, just quiet honesty about handling life under a spotlight that never switches off. And even though he didn't break down every tiny detail, the clarity in his words brought a sense of calm to a story that had spiraled way beyond reality. But even with that heartfelt explanation, people still wanted to know how they actually make everything work behind the scenes. Their new way of making it work. Behind all the speculation, Blake and Gwen have been creating a rhythm that fits their real lives, not the version the public expects. Their approach doesn't follow the traditional relationship blueprint people imagine. Instead, it's flexible, built on communication, trust, and a deep understanding of each other's realities. Blake's slower pace and love for the ranch give him the space to recharge and reset, while Gwen's fast-moving schedule keeps her connected to the creative world she's always thrived in. Rather than forcing both lifestyles into one place, they allow each other the freedom to grow where they feel strongest. This isn't unusual for couples dealing with high-pressure careers and blended families, but because Blake and Gwen used to share more public moments together, the change felt bigger than it actually was. Their different schedules naturally create periods where they are not even in the same state. Yet insiders and longtime fans agree that this hasn't weakened their bond at all. If anything, It's helped them support each other without losing themselves in the process. Their connection isn't measured by how often they show up together in public, it's measured by how they show up for each other when it truly matters. And while the internet constantly looks for drama and wild explanations, the truth is much simpler. They've built a partnership where independence and togetherness exist side by side. Still, there's one final truth that explains why this story grabbed so much attention. The bottom line, the quiet truth behind their relationship. At the end of the day, the attention around Blake and Gwen's living situation grew not because something dramatic happened, but because their lifestyle doesn't fit the usual celebrity mold. Living apart sometimes isn't a red flag, it's simply how they balance careers, family, and two completely different daily routines. And despite all the speculation, none of the reports confirm a breakup. Everything circulating online remains unverified and based on assumptions, not facts. Blake and Gwen themselves have never suggested anything different, and their actions continue to show a couple doing what genuinely works for them. As their lives continue to evolve, they follow their own rhythm, not the one the public tries to force on them. And that independence is a big part of what keeps their connection strong and steady. If you want more grounded, respectful celebrity updates, tap subscribe so you never miss the next story.